Coming off a tough loss at home, Kansas State turns around and travels to Norman to take on the rolling Oklahoma Sooners. Here's a breakdown of each team's current status, keys to victory, and final prediction for the game. Let's start with Oklahoma. The Sooners are looking to open Big 12 play with a win over an opponent that has caused them a lot of trouble over the past few seasons, and it is going to start on the offensive side of the ball. The offense won't be afforded the time it took to get things rolling like they had in the first half against Kent State. Fortunately, that wasn't necessary last week in Lincoln, as the Oklahoma offense was firing on all cylinders after the first possession. Dillon Gabriel has done an excellent job protecting the football, and is turnover-free through 3 games. Although it wasn't his most accurate showing of the season, he put the ball where it needed to be and even reeled off an impressive 61-yard touchdown run. Gabriel continues to build his rapport with his receiving core, primarily Marvin Mims, who led the team in receiving yards, but also spread the ball to Jalil Farouk and Theo Wease, who both had touchdown catches. The run game has continued to progress, and the Oklahoma offensive line manhandled Nebraska the majority of the game. Running back Eric Gray went for over 100 yards and 2 scores, the second time in 3 games he's passed the century mark. With the game being out of reach early, we got a healthy dose of the run game, including Marcus Major and freshman Javonte Burns both carrying the ball over 10 times. I expect a continued mix of the run and pass headed into next week's matchup with Kansas State. On the defensive side of the ball, the Sooners put together a near-perfect performance. A first possession touchdown drive for Nebraska was about all the team could muster until it was time for the backups to hit the field. So far this season, the defense has made an impressive turnaround, allowing a total of 30 points over the first 3 games, 10 of which have been in garbage time. Compare that alone to last year, where the Sooners gave up 35 points in the first game of the season. Enough said. A variety of blitzes combined with great tackling have done wonders for a defense that honestly had me wondering at first, how long would it take Brent Venables and company to turn this thing around? So far, so good. The Sooners tallied 9 tackles for loss and 4 sacks, keeping Nebraska on their heels the entire game. And it's looking like freshman Jaren Kanak could develop into a really special player. Oklahoma has yet to face a program with a truly threatening offense, but I expect the defense to be tested eventually. I'd like to say we learned a lot about this team in the win over Nebraska. There was a lot of talk on the broadcast about this squad looking different and special compared to Sooner teams of the past 10 or so years, calling them a potential college football playoff team. While I'd love to be on that boat, and there are a lot of good signs so far, let's pump the brakes. Big 12 play is where we will truly see where this Oklahoma team stacks up nationally. This week's game against Kansas State will mark the first time Brent Venables has faced off against his alma mater as a head coach, and expect him to take that duty seriously. Kansas State is looking to build off an 8-5 finish last season, and seemed to be on the upswing. 10 starters returned, including 2 of the most important. Preseason All-American running back Deuce Vaughn and defensive anchor Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Taking a look at the Kansas State starting lineup, it is filled with upperclassmen. The big change happened at quarterback, with experienced transfer Adrian Martinez making the move from Lincoln to Manhattan. However, the Wildcats haven't had to rely on his arm much at all this season. Martinez has been a good game manager for Kansas State. When he has been called on to run, he has ran, and when he has been called on to pass, well, he hasn't turned the ball over. But he also has only 1 passing touchdown in 3 games. At the end of the day, in this K-State offense, that might be exactly what he needs to do to keep things rolling. Deuce Vaughn has taken the brunt of the offensive load, totaling nearly 400 yards in 3 games, making up over 36% of the Wildcats' total offensive production. He was riding a streak of 100-plus yard performances until last Saturday. Expect Vaughn to continue to be the focal point of the offense, but it will be imperative for other players to step up if Kansas State wants to win this game. Defense has been a bright spot for the Wildcats so far this season, allowing only 27 points and just 3 total touchdowns over 3 games. And this shouldn't come as much of a surprise, with key contributors returning including Anudike-Uzomah, defensive tackle Eli Huggins, and linebacker Daniel Green. The secondary was a little less certain, but has yet to be truly tested this season. The speed offense the Sooners employ will show if the Kansas State defense is truly as good as advertised. I've been impressed with their ability to force turnovers, and I do think this is when Dillon Gabriel's perfect streak of no interceptions ends. The Wildcats had been downright dominant through 2 games until they took an unexpected stumble against Tulane this past Saturday. The South Dakota game went as expected, with the defense pitching a shutout, and the Missouri game was a statement. While Mizzou isn't exactly the cream of the crop in the SEC, the Wildcats put a beat down on the Tigers, which included running the football over 40 times for over 5 yards a carry, as well as tallying 4 interceptions on 4 straight possessions. If that isn't deflating, I don't know what is. Compound this with Kansas State pressuring Mizzou with 10 tackles for loss, it wasn't pretty. The win was a huge confidence booster for the Wildcats, who planned to carry that momentum to an upset bid in Norman. According to K-State coach Chris Kleiman,
we got a good football team, and we're continuing to improve and get better, but we got a lot of guys with a chip on their shoulder down there because we think we have the potential to be a good football team and continue to improve, but this was no question a huge win that we talked about extensively this week, how big this game would be.
Unfortunately for Kansas State, that chip was left in the bowl against Tulane. I mean, seriously, imagine struggling against Tulane. Couldn't be me. But the Wildcats did, and when you let a team stay in a game long enough, they will find a way to win. And that's exactly what Tulane did. They put together the blueprint to beat Kansas State, stop the run and force the pass. Adrian Martinez threw the ball 31 times. To put it in perspective, he threw a total of 35 passes over the past 2 games. Wildcats were unable to get anything rolling on offense and were shut down on 3rd and 4th down, going 2 of 15 and 1 of 5 respectively. If they have a repeat offensive performance this weekend, Wildcat Nation might be in for a rough game. Keys to victory. You guessed it, Oklahoma needs to stop Deuce Vaughn, while Kansas State needs him to have a great game. And this doesn't just involve the run game. He currently has a grand total of 10 receptions for 36 yards over 3 games. In last year's close loss to the Sooners, while he was held to just 51 yards rushing, he had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Getting Vaughn involved in what little passing game the Wildcats employ would do wonders, and might give them a chance at an upset bid. Let's face it, the likelihood that Kansas State comes to Norman and beats the Sooners by running it right into the teeth of the Oklahoma defense is pretty low. Has Kansas State out-physicaled prior Sooner squads? Absolutely, but this defense just has a different feel to it. In order to beat Oklahoma, the Wildcats are going to need to mix it up on occasion, hitting big on plays that can turn the defense around, such as play actions and RPOs, especially if the Sooners get aggressive on blitzes. It will be up to Adrian Martinez to deliver quick and accurate passes under that pressure. It shouldn't be a surprise if Kansas State upsets Oklahoma because they've done it before, multiple times. Kansas State has won 2 of the past 3 matchups, most recently a 38-35 win in 2020 in Norman. In fact, out of the last 4 Kansas State wins over Oklahoma, 3 of them have occurred in the Palace on the Prairie, which is impressive considering how dominant Oklahoma has been at home. Kansas State should come in confident they have the ability to win this game, but will need to draw on that confidence in order to come out of Norman with the W. Yes, this is a goal for the 2nd week in a row. Why? Just look at Adrian Martinez's stats. In 3 games, he has thrown for a total of 304 yards. When faced with a Power 5 secondary, he went 9 of 20 for 101 yards. Now yes, in that game, Kansas State pulled away and didn't necessarily need to throw the ball. But as a defense, I'm willing to give Martinez a chance to prove himself, because so far this year he has not proven to be a threat through the air. Tackling is always key, but it is even more of an emphasis when you are facing a team that you know is going to be pounding the rock. Constant running can wear on a defense, and before you know it, those 2-yard gains in the first quarter are turning into 6 or 7-yard gains in the 3rd and 4th. Oklahoma can't afford to get sloppy with tackling in this game if they want to start 1-0 in Big 12 play. Easier said than done, right? All Deuce Vaughn has done is account for over 1/3 of Kansas State's offensive production. Although it might be hard to see him amongst the towering offensive linemen, which I'm not saying in jest, he uses that to his advantage. The defense always needs to be keyed in on where he is on the field, and he must be accounted for by at least 1 defender, because all it takes is a sliver of space for him to break loose for 6. There's a high likelihood that this game ends up being a nail-biter, because that's how Kansas State-Oklahoma games always seem to go. That is assuming that K-State does have some success in the run game. And I'm not trying to be a prisoner of the moment, because Oklahoma looked flat out dominant against Nebraska while Kansas State looked lost against Tulane. While OU will do their best to contain Deuce Vaughn, I do believe he will have a great game for the Wildcats. However, that won't be enough to secure a win. The Oklahoma defense forces Adrian Martinez to make some mistakes, and the Sooners sneak one out. By a larger margin than I initially predicted, 38-27. Conference play is here. Check out my future Big 12 tier list, and as always, have a great day and see y'all at the next one.